Okay, time to tee up the R3 approach here. Let's just kind of run through some things, kind of wing it here a little bit. Remember, teeing up the R3 approach, it's about thoughts, enthusiasm, and effort. Thoughts, enthusiasm, and effort. It's all about thoughts and actions, actually. If we're genuinely going to improve, it's a fact that it's going to be a result of the thoughts that we have and the actions that we take in terms of following through on those thoughts, okay? I'm just going to run through some things here. I'm out practicing right now. It's 40-something degrees, and I'm probably older than most of you. So don't tell me that you can't get out and do some practicing, regardless of the weather. If you do happen to be older than me and you're out practicing, then I'm going to be inspired by you. Okay, let's check out some things. Just going to point out a bunch of things that I tend to kind of look at and think about, in terms of how I direct my thoughts in terms of the swing, my golf swing. And again, my intention with my golf swing is to develop a mechanically sound, physically athletic swing action that's going to allow me to actually, when I'm playing, it's all about how good our misses can be, So when we have a mechanically sound and physically athletic swing action, what happens is that when we do play, we're able to hit good misses, I mean, it's great if we're hitting great shots. That means our rhythm and timing is really on point. But if we have a mechanically sound and physically athletic swing action, then our misses are going to be playable. So we can, in fact, shoot a good score. In other words, follow through on truth number one in the R3 approach. We're able to take what we've got and make it work to the best of our ability in order to shoot the best score we can that day, So again, and again, it's worth noting here that the different perspectives that we're directing our thoughts and actions are going to be from the factual perspective. That's about our mindset as a golfer. From the mechanical perspective, that's about the golf club and where the golf club is during the swing, which we'll look at in this video. And then the physical perspective, which is about our body and how our body is supporting the action that we have that club going through as we swing it, the positions we have that club moving through as we swing it. And then ultimately it's about the tactical perspective, which is our brain, the control center for everything. If we're going to shoot the best score we can on a given day, on a given round of golf, it's because the tactics that we have are good. In other words, we're taking what we've got and making it work to the best of our ability. Great scoring, by the way, is a function of how good we're getting the ball into the hole once we're inside that red zone, okay? The golf swing that we're talking about right now is more about our advancement game in terms of getting the ball into the red zone. My good friend Clint Wright holds a philosophy that is excellent to direct some thought toward, and that is the importance of the third shot when we're playing. The third shot in terms of is so important in terms of shooting the best score we can. It's kind of like in football when it's third down and something. In order to get a first down, you have to convert that third down play in order to continue advancing the football down the field. If you're not converting on that third and something, then you're punting the ball over to your opponent all day long, and you'll probably lose the game. In golf, that third shot is a very important shot in terms of producing the best score that we can that day. So should have a listen to Clint Wright's philosophy on the importance of the third shot in golf. Very good stuff from a tactical perspective. Okay, let's get into the swing a little bit. The ready position to begin with, we're directing our thoughts and actions towards our grip, aim, and setup processes. How we're gripping the golf club is important. Our body lines in terms of feet, knees, shoulders, even our eye line is important when it comes to establishing a good ready position in the swing. How we have our feet positioned is important as well. The left foot will be kind of toed out a little bit, where the right foot is square to slightly toed out. That puts our feet, which establishes the foundation of our golf swing, into a good condition down there in terms of supporting our swing once we start going from the ready position to the set position. And by the way, these green lines that I've put in there, that's where I want to get to at the finish of my swing. In other words, if I make a good complete move through the golf ball, I'm going to get to a good finish in the swing. If we get to a good finish in the swing where we have effectively released both our arms and our body during the swing, we'll end up in a good balanced position at the end of the swing. So the green lines are in that circle. That's where I want to get to at the end of my golf swing. Alright, let's check some things out here. Alright, so we go from a ready position to the set position. Now what's happening at this point is we're taking the club back with our shoulders. Don't want to be lifting the club with your hands when we start the swing. It's the turning of our shoulders that helps to create the first pivot in the swing. The first pivot in the swing is simply rotating into that right hip. We don't want to sway at all in terms of making that backswing motion. So you can see how I'm essentially winding my body up like a spring at this point as I pivot into that right hip. Now as I pivot into that right hip, I'm staying in the A-frame that I established at the ready position. The A-frame again is that condition that we see right here. Alright, good athletic setup position. So we go ahead and create that first pivot in the swing. That gets us to the set position in the swing. Now as we anticipate what's going to happen through this part of the swing, there's a little transition where I'll get to the end of my backswing and initiate the downswing move. So as we initiate that downswing move, that's the initiation of that second pivot in the swing. In other words, you can see how my body weight, starting from the ground up, you can see how I'm starting to sit back down into my left hip as I start that swing, that downswing move, the go move. Now, really important here is to anticipate what we want happening with the angle that we have set on the backswing. In other words, when we go from the ready position to the set position, it's really important from a mechanical standpoint, from the mechanical perspective that is, that we're setting this angle formed between our arms and the shaft of the club in a good mechanically sound position. What that simply means is that we've got the tool, the golf club, set in a good condition at the top of the swing, both in terms of the plane of the swing as well as the club face position being in a good square position when we transition through the top of the swing. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to initiate that downswing move, sitting into that left hip. Now this is where it becomes extremely important that we have some good things going on mechanically speaking and physically speaking as we enter this 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone down here where the ball is. Again, in the R3 approach, we talk about the fact that we have to be good through this area of the swing, down here from the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, essentially hip-high zone, hip-high on the backswing, hip-high on the through swing. We want that angle to be coming into this part of the swing with still having some lag created. In other words, we haven't cast the angle out at this point, which is oftentimes the tendency, especially with higher handicappers. We don't want this angle casting out, so we've created and maintained some good lag into this 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone. Now this part of the swing is so important as we come into the ball at this point. I want you to notice this is something that's very important. We've still got that lag coming into the ball. In other words, the handle of my golf club at this point is on top of, in fact, it's past the golf ball. And I still have that angle lagging as I prepare to, well, in fact, I am releasing my arms at this point. So we get to this very good position here in terms of having that forward shaft lean that we're looking for in our golf swing, so that we're going to compress the ball good. At this point, the shaft angle is still in a downward position as it comes into the golf ball. Okay, and then very important here at impact, what we're after at impact, I want you to notice a couple of things here. In terms of our forearms, wrists, and hands, we're in a really good impact position here. Things that we're looking at here in terms of how we want to direct our thoughts and actions. Again, you can see on the back of my left wrist and forearm and the back of my left hand have gotten into a good flat position. That's a good impact position that we all should be looking to develop in our golf swing. In the position of the right wrist and forearm, you can see how my right wrist is still in a slightly bent back condition. That's the impact position that we're all looking to get into as we actually strike the golf ball down here through that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone. Another something that I like to look at during the swing, having studied many golf swings on video, you'll see that good shot makers, good ball strikers, as they make this swing through the impact zone, you'll see how my left shoulder is lining up into that condition where I'm essentially where I was at the setup position. See that my left shoulder's in that position right there. So when I look at my swing and I'm working on my swing, as I'm working it down through this 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, I want my left shoulder to get back into the position I was in at setup. Okay, so what I've gotten into here is a pretty good impact position as I make contact with that golf ball hitting into my left side. A couple more things here. As we complete this very important action down here through this 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, you can see how I've completed, or I am completing, the release action of my arms. Now, when you look at golf swings, this is not a topic that gets very much attention for some reason. I think it's probably one of the most important aspects of the golf swing in terms of developing the ability to hit good solid shots and shots that are very playable when we have mistimed the swing. But the release action of our arms involves this continuing rotation of our arms, where the right arm rotates over the left arm. You can see how my glove hand is up underneath at this point, and my right arm is fully extended. This is exemplary of good release action of our arms through impact. Now, as far as the release action altogether in the R3 approach, we point out the fact that we're releasing both our arms during the swing and we're releasing our body during the swing. So we want to have the best blend of both that we can get. But this release action of our arms through the swing is so important so that our bodies don't tend to work excessively hard during the swing. So again, the release action of our arms through the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone is vitally important to developing a physically athletic swing motion while maintaining mechanically sound positions. In other words, letting the club allowing the club, that is, to do what it's been designed to do during our swing. That's the essence of having a mechanically sound, physically athletic swing action. Okay, and you can see how I've stayed in the A-frame as far as my head goes. Okay, and then what's going to happen in order to get through to the balanced finish that I pointed out earlier, you can see how now I've come up, posted up into the finish of my swing. I'm up into my left side, fully released. My right side, in fact, is fully released. My right shoulder's past my left. My right hip is released. My right knee has come to my left knee. And something else I want to point out in a good finish to a golf swing, good balanced finish to a golf swing, this is something that back in the day, Mr. Ben Hogan, I haven't heard this talked about very much, but one of the keys to his swing, one of the swing thoughts, in fact, that he would use quite often would be the action of his right foot as he completed his move through the golf swing. One thing that Mr. Hogan held to be very important in the swing is that through impact, he always wanted to keep his right heel inside of his right toe, as you see I'm doing right there. And then when you look at this, if you do look at the other swings on YouTube or wherever of good ball strikers, good shot makers, good players, you'll see their right foot action performing in a manner like I've got it performing here, where it's a roll of the right ankle through impact. In other words, when we look at golfers and we see that right heel spinning out, it creates a poor body release during the swing. So at the conclusion of the swing here, you can see how my right foot has ended up actually in that initial A-frame that I was talking about. So another little topic there, sort of incidental, but interesting and an important aspect of the swing is how we're releasing, ultimately releasing our right hip, right knee, and right foot during the swing. Gets us to the conclusion of the swing here. So there's a lot of thoughts here, but they're all good ones relative to fulfilling the overall strategy in the R3 approach, and that again is to continue enjoying the process of developing our golf games to the point where they can be seen and felt, which by the way is a mindfulness, Other folks can see it and we can feel it. Mindfulness. Seen and felt to be mechanically sound, physically athletic, and tactically fluid processes for playing the game, okay? So when we're working on our swings, we work on our golf games, in fact, we know that we're going to be doing so from these different perspectives. So just run back through the video and have a look at the different thoughts that I'm throwing out here in terms of generating some enthusiasm about how you're going to go and work on your golf swing, okay? So it's all about developing a mechanically sound, physically athletic, and tactically fluid process for playing the game. Okay, so we always say in the R3 approach, let's all continue enjoying the process of doing good work, developing our golf games to the point where they can be seen and felt to be mechanically sound, physically athletic, and tactically fluid processes for playing the game. Remember, good scoring is all about how good we can be inside that red zone, okay? All right, do good work now.